Good afternoon. This is the regular meeting of the City Council, the Library and Observatory Board, Housing Authority Board, and the City Council representing the Redevelopment Successor Agency. It is Thursday, June 20th. It is 1 p.m. And I will ask our Development Services Director, Mina Dukas, to lead us in the flag salute.
Please stand.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, and may we have roll call, please.
Councilmember Mulatto,
Present.
Councilmember Marker,
Here.
Councilmember O'Keefe,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Weil,
Here.
Mayor Downs.
I would like to ask for a motion to excuse Mayor Downs.
I'll make the motion to excuse Mayor Downs.
I'll second it.
There's a motion and a second. Please have a vote.
Motion carries 4-0.
Thank you. The mayor was not able to be here today, obviously, but he did ask me to read a statement that I would like to now recite for you. And it says, "Unfortunately, I'm not able to be with you at today's City Council meeting. I've been diagnosed with prostate cancer and had surgery this morning at Eisenhower Medical Center. Fortunately, my cancer has been detected at an early stage and the prognosis is good. I expect a full recovery and a return to City Hall in the coming weeks. Prostate cancer is not uncommon in men as we age. I encourage all men over 50 to begin regular PSA testing and prostate screening. As in my case, early detection is important in successful treatment options. Please keep a good thought for me over the next few after surgery days. I look forward to being back at City Hall soon." Mayor, we wish you nothing but the best. Thank you for sharing that with our people today and our audience. Prostate cancer today is treated so successfully, and I can tell you as a person that I was treated almost 20 years ago successfully, and Mayor, I know that you will have the same results. So we wish you nothing but the best. The next is an introduction by Chief Pete Tierney of the introduction of Fire Captain Kyle Jordan. Would you please join us?
Yes, good afternoon, City Council members, City staff. My name is Pete Tierney. I'm Battalion Chief with CAL FIRE, Riverside County Fire Department. I'm here today to introduce our newest fire captain to the city of Rancho Mirage, Captain Kyle Jordan. Captain Jordan will be overseeing the operations at the North Rancho Mirage Fire Station 69, and he comes to us from the South Rancho Mirage Station 50, where he was the engineer for the past 5 years. So Kyle's well versed in the city organization, city's operations, and the city's expectations. Kyle also has a degree in business management from San Diego State, and he's married, and 3 months ago, Kyle became a dad for the first time. Kyle?
Like Chief said, I was an engineer at Station 50 approximately 5 years ago. I've got to work alongside with, some of you for the last 5 years. I believe Rancho Mirage is one of the best cities to work for in the department, not only because of the support from the City Council, the citizens, the chiefs, and the crew you can see in the back. And with that being said, I look to work here many more years alongside all of you.
Thank you very much, Chief. As I said to you before the meeting earlier, first, congratulations on both being a new dad as well as your new appointment here. But all of us on the council cannot say enough good things about CAL FIRE. We regularly get nothing but compliments about the service from our people and our constituents here in the city of Rancho Mirage. So again, I thank you so very much. Congratulations and welcome, and we look forward to seeing you often.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Captain. The next presentation is recognition to somebody that has done an amazing job. Jack Newby has been with the Jocelyn Center for some time and is retiring. He will be sorely missed. But Jack has been a friend and just a wonderful, wonderful public servant for a number of years. Jack, I will ask you to meet me at the rostrum here, and I'm also going to ask Council Member Lynn Mulatto and Council Member Michael O'Keefe, who are the two appointees to the Jocelyn Center, to join me down there. So if you would.
From behind.
Nice to see you, Jack.
Good to see you.
Jack, it's both a privilege and an honor to have you here. You have been just an incredible contributor to our community. There are so many people that are indebted to you for your service and dedication. This proclamation is honoring Jack Newby, the Jocelyn Center Executive Director. In 1994, after practicing law, Jack Newby began working in the nonprofit sector as executive director of the Center and AIDS Project in Long Beach. In 1998, Mr. Newby relocated to the Coachella Valley with the intention of retiring. Obviously, you didn't handle that very well, Jack. However, a couple of years later, he began working as Director of Marketing and Development at the Mizell Senior Center in Palm Springs. Mr. Newby's dedication to service led him back to the Coachella Valley in 2008, where he settled as director of the, again, Mizell Center, and in 2017 began his work at the Jocelyn Center. During his time at the Jocelyn Center, he went through some challenging periods, without a doubt. One of the most was the COVID pandemic, with the center being the first in the Valley to offer a variety of virtual programs to its members who could no longer navigate and, of course, visit the center in person. Under your visionary, Mr. Newby oversaw several improvements at the Jocelyn Center, including the ADA-related remodeling and solar panel installation. He also helped with the establishment of a $1.5 million in funding through grants and fundraising events. The legacy of you, Jack Newby, will have a lasting impact on the senior community, ensuring that the Jocelyn Center continues to thrive as a result of your efforts. Now, therefore, be it resolved that, in this case, I, Steve Downs, Mayor of the City of Rancho Mirage, and on behalf of the entire City Council, do hereby congratulate Jack Newby, the Jocelyn Center Executive Director, signed by Mayor Downs this day and affixed on June 20th, 2024. Jack, We cannot say enough good things. We wish you nothing but the best, and we hope that we don't lose sight of you. Thank you, Jack.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, and also to Lynn Mulatto and to Michael O'Keefe. See, I'm ready to retire this time. And to Michael O'Keefe for your support, and also to the city of Rancho Mirage for your support of the Jocelyn Center. It's critical for the Jocelyn Center to provide the services that it provides to the community, and also your attendance and support of our various fundraisers. It is very important, and it is very, it just feels good to see the council members and the mayor of the city of Rancho Mirage at our events and supporting our events, and it sends a wonderful message to the community. And I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge Isaiah Hagerman. I've worked with him the entire 7 years that I've been at the Jocelyn Center, and I think I was thrilled when he moved up to become city manager, and he has been a great benefit to the Jocelyn Center, and I'm thrilled to see him here in his position at the city of Rancho Mirage. So that's all. Thank you. And also I want to acknowledge Hugo Agos is here. He is the Rancho Mirage representative on the board of the Jocelyn Center. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Jack. We wish you nothing but the best. Thank you. All right, that concludes our presentations. And we will now go into the non-agenda public comments. An opportunity for the public to speak on issues that are not on the agenda for a maximum of 3 minutes per speaker. Please be advised, if you speak longer than 3 minutes, I will ask you kindly to conclude your comments accordingly. May we have the first speaker, please?
Of course, this first speaker is Wally Melendez.
Good afternoon, City Council, Administration. Good to see you. We're in the middle of the hottest months of the year. And number one, going from the heat to the AC, air conditioning, going from the air conditioning to the heat, not good. It will ruin your joints, and I'm feeling it. Hope that Mr. Steve Down gets well. I've got implants in my eyes, lenses. I went half blind. But I can see, otherwise I wouldn't be able to get my driver's license. I'm scared to go under the knife. I carry a medallion with me for many, many years. It hangs on my belt loop. It says, "For I am the Lord that healeth thee." And that is in Exodus chapter 15, verse 26. This town Rancho Mirage. It's a very nice town. I like the shopping center over there by the Starbucks and by the In-N-Out hamburger joint. I wish we had a steakhouse like Sizzler's where you could get your small steak and your baked potato and your garlic bread. That's a lot better for you than a horrible hamburger. But there it is. So I'm proud to be associated with Rancho Mirage. I love this auditorium. I love where it's situated. Try to get to the city council meetings in Cathedral City. It looks like a fortress. Not good. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments.
The next speaker is Brad Anderson.
Good afternoon. My name's Brad Anderson. I currently live in the city of Rancho Mirage, and the news about Mr. Downs is sad for sure. I'm grateful that he wrote a letter requesting to be excused, and you're granting that. It definitely falls into the premise or into the previews of what an excused absent means. Just 2 days ago, I went to a dear friend's house that exited Rancho Mirage Hospital and is now in hospice care. So this type of health impacts everybody in our community, and more than most, or more, well, it's a fact of life, and I appreciate his willingness to share that, and I wish him Godspeed on his recovery. So anyway, I wanted to speak on last week's comments from the city councilor that I was afraid I had to miss that meeting. But there was talk about the auto park, well, I call it auto park, the automotive sales location adjacent or across the street from the library, proposed for now. I'm just one of very few people probably that appreciates Southern California Edison and the water companies, not really launched it, but their process of approving their permits and recommendations to approve developments like this one. It's kind of it's sort of like a check and balances for the community in a way, just because of the time delay. So I appreciate their aspects of looking into these matters as they can. Anyway, I don't think anything's wrong with what's happening over there. I think especially when it's city funds involved in that, a majority, if not all. And my other comment, I'll just keep you briefly, is I'm kind of concerned because the city hasn't reported out any information that I know about concerning the Rancho Mirage Country Club, which is where Mr. Downs resides or did at one time. There was apparently a warrant issued in May for abatement of $72,000 for public health. And if maybe the city manager could comment on that and let the residents of the city know what's going on in that private community, that city resources are being spent, that would be great. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment.
I'm sorry. That was the last speaker card. Is there anyone else who would like to speak? Okay, come on up. Please state your name. Thank you.
Good day, Council. My name is Sensei Tamara Canedo, and I am CEO of Seithan Joku. I am a local nonprofit that specializes in teaching individuals with disabilities karate. And I'm here today to invite you to my first annual Coachella Valley Para Karate Tournament that will be held in Rancho Mirage. I have students all the way from Salton Sea and even Sky Valley And to be honest, not because I'm sitting in front of you, but I chose Rancho Mirage because it's so beautiful. And I love everything about Rancho Mirage, and it's really center point for all of my students. My business is located out of La Quinta, but so many parents drive 40 to 50 minutes just to get to me, and I thought Rancho Mirage would be an ideal location. What I'm most excited about to share with you today is that my youngest competitor is 3 with autism, and my oldest is 79 and blind. It is a competition. I am not having participation medals because I teach my students that they have to work hard and earn everything in life. I've partnered with numerous nonprofits. I do hold a contract with United Cerebral Palsy. I have worked with Ezekiel's Gift of Love. We work with LEAP Services. We have also the Barbara Sinatra Center. And we've just been so blessed to be able to grow our organization to the size that we're at today. We now have 78 athletes with disabilities, which to us is huge. For many years, I couldn't go over 12 or 20, and to hit the 78 mark was very big for us. 2 months ago, I flew the Paralympic coach from Team USA out to train my kids and my athletes personally. We wanted to go to nationals, but because of monetary purposes, it wasn't able to happen. But I teach adaptive karate, so we said, you know what, let's have it here. And so I'm here today really to invite you to attend our event. I have a VIP table right in front of the ring where my competitors would be competing at, and I would love to have you there. Personally, my kids don't always get an opportunity to compete. And to be quite honest with you, my parents, ever since we started talking about it, every single one of them are a ball of tears. And for you to sit there and make my kids feel seen and make them feel important, I think would make such a tremendous impact on their lives. If any of you have ever been involved in any sort of competition, you know how great it is a confidence booster. And for you to show up there that day would make them feel like celebrities. Thank you, and I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I hope to see you then. Goodbye.
Thank you for being here. You showed great wisdom in choosing Rancho Mirage.
Thank you. Sorry I walked away.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak on something that is not on the agenda? That was the last speaker.
Thank you. That concludes the non-agenda public comments. We will now go to council board member comments. I'll start on my right. Councilmember Mulatto.
No council comments today due to the length of the agenda. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember O'Keefe.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good afternoon, everyone. Happy first day of summer. I want to send positive thoughts and good wishes to Mayor Downs and his family and to thank him for his advocacy for promoting men's health. Usually, I take this time to talk about upcoming events like the Taste of Summer, which I highly recommend, or the exciting summer programs at the library, but today I would like to address one topic, and that's animal welfare. As the city representative to the animal campus, I took a tour of the shelter last week. And first, let me say that all the employees and the volunteers truly care about the welfare of the animals there. But I was a bit overwhelmed by the magnitude of their jobs. Their facility is way overcrowded. Kennels that were built to house one dog may house several dogs. This doesn't allow the dogs adequate room to move or to play. The mission statement of the shelter is working together to improve Riverside County for people and animals. So that's simple and straightforward. The policies include using adoption, education, veterinary medical programs as an alternative to euthanasia, and they seek lifetime homes for the pets that they place. Their priorities include educating the community about the benefit of spaying and neutering, licensing and microchipping, returning lost pets to their owners quickly, and informing residents about the need to prepare for care for their pets during an emergency. Rancho Mirage is a pet-friendly community, and we've long supported the Animal Campus and Animal Samaritans. The city's Adopt a Pet program allows Rancho Mirage residents to be reimbursed for adoption costs and some pet care services. And for the next 3 days, the campus is having free adoptions. So today I have brought photos of 5 dogs currently needing a home. So please consider adopting Roger, who's 1 year old, or Cash, who's 1 year old, Kenny, who's 8 months old, Joanna, who's 1 month old, or Caleb, 10 months old. Their website is rcdas.org. The phone number is 760-343-3644. Thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem.
That's very nice. I hope, those pictures tug at the heartstrings of people that are watching and react accordingly. That would be great. Councilmember Marker.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Weil. First, I'd like to send my my well wishes for speedy recovery to the mayor, and thank you for being so open with everyone regarding the prostate cancer surgery. With early detection, it does save lives. We know many people, either amongst us or family members, who have had early detection. I have had early detection 3 different times, different cancers, and it saved my life. Now I'd like to move on with some exciting news, and it's an exciting time in the Coachella Valley, as our very own Coachella Valley Firebirds hockey team is in the finals of the coveted Calder Cup, which is equivalent to the NHL's Stanley Cup. The entire Coachella Valley has caught Firebirds fever supporting our very own team in the quest to win the Calder Cup. I was there Tuesday night, and the Firebirds won, taking a 2-1 lead in the best-of-7 series. They play again tonight and then Saturday night. If you have a chance to attend, I highly recommend it for one of the most exciting events you will ever attend. And let's go Firebirds. I'm going to wear this in their honor, if I can get it on. Take off my glasses here. There we go. Woo!
Very good. You make for a good cheerleader. Thank you very much. And they sure have captured the hearts of the valley here. The attendance has been outstanding, and it's fun to see their success. The week before last, Mayor, myself, and Councilmember O'Keefe had the pleasure and honor of joining a number of members of the Riverside Sheriff Department at Starbucks. And if you'll put the slide up now, the Coffee with a Cop program serves the purpose of bringing police officers and the community together over coffee to discuss local issues and get to know each other. The purpose is to build trust and help foster community. There are no agendas or speeches, just plain camaraderie. It's a wonderful experience for the public to meet the individuals that work hard every day to keep us safe. We're very fortunate to have such a dedicated group of officers assigned to the city of Rancho Mirage. On behalf of the entire City Council, we extend a major thank you. Special thanks to Lieutenant Espinoza and CYO Kyle Espinicius, who help organize these gatherings. Again, I might have destroyed your name a little bit. However, we thank you many times over. You're always there for us, as you are here today. Thank you so much. We'll now go to the city manager for any comments he might have.
None today, so I'll go right into the consent calendar. So the council has 10 items on the consent calendar for consideration. Item number 1 is to waive the full reading of all ordinances introduced or adopted pursuant to this agenda. Item number 2 is to adopt ordinance number 1218, second reading, adding chapter 9.44, unlawful possession of catalytic converters to title 9, public peace, morals, and welfare to the Rancho Mirage Municipal Code, establishing regulations prohibiting the unlawful possession of catalytic converters. Item number 3 is to approve the May 28th, 2024 special meeting minutes. Item number 4 is to approve the June 6th, 2024 regular meeting minutes. Number 5 is to approve the final acceptance of improvements for track map number 35089. Item number 6 is to approve the final acceptance of the library community room LED lighting upgrade project. That's CP 21-368. Item number 7 is to approve an appointment to the Mobile Home Fair Practices Commission. Item number 8 is to adopt resolution number 2024, next in order, establishing the appropriations limit for the fiscal year 2024-2025 in accordance with the provisions of Division 9 of Title I of the California Government Code. Item number 9 are to approve contracts, and item number 10 are demands. Before we go to council comments or questions, I'll ask the city clerk to open up public comment.
Thank you. Our first speaker on the consent calendar is Mark Bragg.
I promise to do this in far less than 3 minutes. Mr. Mayor, city council members, city manager, and city staff. I better put on my glasses. My name is Mark Bragg. I'm the president of Desert Estate Builders, the developer of the 18-lot subdivision on Ginger Rogers Drive known as Bella Villa next to Echo. I am very pleased to report that the 18 half-acre finished lot subdivision is actually finished. It took longer than anyone expected except me, because I always expected to take longer than expected. What I wasn't used to was how well we were treated during this process. Everyone at the city of Rancho Mirage, by everyone at the city of Rancho Mirage. So I'm here today not to ask you for anything, but to pay our respects and to thank you for this most outstanding relationship. I would also like to pay special appreciation to our working relationship with the Department of Public Works and its manager, Ryan Stendell, staff engineer, Jeff Benson, City Engineer Leland Cole, and Inspector Glenn Deal. All were very attentive and pleasant to work with. City Contracts Administrator Gloria Griego was always a stickler for detail, but she was always a pleasant stickler, as was Joy Tsai in the Planning Department. All of these folks and many others made the city of Rancho Mirage an exemplary place to do business. And we thank you very much.
Thank you for your kind comments.
I still have a minute left. If you want me. Thank you.
The next
That's
speaker
very
is,
nice. It's always nice to hear compliments like that. Anything, any other?
yes, the next speaker is Brad Anderson.
Great. Thank you again, Brad Anderson, City of Rancho Mirage. I wanted to speak on items 2, 7, and 9 briefly. Item 2 would be the second reading of the catalytic converter. I want to call it a resolution. Ordinance. Anyway, I've never been in favor of that as written, just because it more or less shifts the burden of law enforcement onto the everyday citizen. A lot of people, I mean, it is odd to have more than one catalytic converter detached on your car, which is like I always emphasize or bring back. In my day, it was AM, FM radios and cars. People steal those all the time. So it's almost the same thing, but the value is increased, of course. I fear that this is just a stepping stone. If we want to go to extremes, we should probably just require everybody to lock their car in the garage or under lock and key or have a security card. This type of regulation, I believe, is just not prone for abuse, but I fear it's just the wrong direction to go. And I'll skip down to item 7. which is just appointment to the Mobile Home Fair Practices Commissioner. I'm thankful the city gave a little insight of how this process is done on appointments, and I'm all in favor of this appointment. And I'll go down to number 9, which is approved contracts. And I noticed that you have another contract with the Flock Company, which is the license plate readers, that I'm not in favor of really, because I just feel they're prone to abuse by other entities, if not the Riverside County Sheriff's Department. Not that it would be, but I'm just it's possible. And apparently this is a couple $100,000. Apparently this is new technology. If the city manager could comment on the new technology of the system, that would be great. But I don't think that'll happen. But if it does, that'll be great. And other locations in the city, I see them. If the city manager could probably comment on how many cameras we actually have now, which is a lot, and some areas that don't have them at all, which is confusing to me. But let's be fair and put them everywhere if we're going to put them up. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
That was the last speaker card. Is there anyone else who would like to speak on something that is not on the agenda? I'm sorry, on the consent calendar. Excuse me. That was the last speaker.
Thank you. I will now ask for any council comments on the consent calendar.
I have none, sir.
Seeing none, may I have a motion to approve the consent calendar, please?
I so moved.
I'll second.
Motion carries 4-0.
Thank you. We'll now go to the first item under the public hearing, which will be handled by our Development Services Director, Mina Dukic, and it's an environmental assessment case number EA 23-0009. Mina, if you would, please.
Thank you and good afternoon, City Council members. May I please have the presentation? There we go. Today I'll be presenting the AHC Skilled Nursing Facility. The project is located on approximately 5.6 acres at the northeast corner of Bob Hope Drive and Gerald Ford Drive. The parcel was annexed into the city in 1994 and was designated as an office use. The project proposes, sorry, give me one moment, there we go. The project proposes to construct a one-story, 42,500 square foot, 46-bed skilled nursing facility. In addition to the various site improvements, a building pad for a future medical office building is also proposed. Development of the future building pad will require a separate entitlement application and future public hearings. The project site will be accessed through 2 driveways with enhanced stamped concrete. The 2 driveways are along Gerald Ford and Via Marta. The project site meets all development standards, including lot coverage, parking requirements, and setbacks for the office zoning. This project site is also within a special corner overlay, which has an additional standards, including a 122-foot setback for buildings at the intersection of Bob Hope and Gerald Ford Drive, measured at a 45-degree angle as shown on the plan. In 2004, a parcel merger was approved for the project site. The proposed tentative parcel map is intended to subdivide the 5.6-acre property into 2 parcels, which consist of a 4-acre parcel for the skilled nursing facility and a 1.4-acre parcel for the future building pad site. A conditional use permit is required for the facility due to its unique operations that provide 24-hour care. As part of the conditional use permit process, this skilled nursing facility will be limited to only skilled nursing uses within a maximum capacity of 46 beds. Per condition of approval number 29, any change in use and/or operations of the facility shall be subject to a conditional use permit modification as determined by the Planning Division. The facility will provide short-term care as needed to help patients recover and recuperate more effectively after a hospital visit. The facility will specialize in helping patients recover from events such as fractures, joint replacements, and similar events that require additional therapy and support after surgery or other medical procedures. The bedrooms will be located along the wings of the facility shown in blue. The central area of the facility will have dining areas, multipurpose areas, offices, and physical therapy spaces. To clarify, the proposed use is a skilled nursing facility, not an assisted living facility. The architectural design of the building can best be described as Mediterranean and will include a Spanish-style tile roof and plaster exterior walls in a light natural color palette. Various arches are present within the building design, along with varying roof heights and a central tower element to provide visual interest. The central tower establishes a focal point for the building's main entrance. The maximum height of the facility will be 33 feet 4 inches, but only for a singular tower element to emphasize the entrance. The majority of the building will measure under 27 feet. The renderings on screen show elevations with a bird's eye view of the facility, showcasing the varying architectural features and roof lines. Line of sight studies and site sections were prepared due to the skilled nursing facility having heights above 20 feet. Here you can see that the facility is greatly set back from neighboring properties. These additional site sections of the project site, which still show large setbacks from a different vantage point and from different residential homes immediately east of the project site. The wing closest to the neighboring residential is set back approximately 80 feet and measures a height of 14 feet at the closest point and staggers upward from there. Landscaping along the perimeter of the project site along Bob Hope Drive and Gerald Ford consists of various 48-inch box Desert Museum Palo Verde trees complemented with 36-inch box mulga trees. Along Via Marta, various 15-foot tall date palms will line the street frontage. In order to screen the parking areas, a combination of a 4-foot tall wall along with a landscape hedge screen is proposed around the entire property. The project site is designated with a special corner overlay and at the intersection of Bob Hope Drive and Gerald Ford Drive. The increased setbacks allow for a variety of interest with varying landscape heights and colors. A mosaic wall and future sculpture area are proposed to be considered as part of the final development plan. The project's photometric plan details the type of lighting that is proposed, as well as the proposed light readings at the property lines. The freestanding light fixtures are shown in red and will have a maximum height of 15 feet with cutoff glare shields. The project's photometric plan will have a 0-foot candlelight reading at the exterior lines of the project site. A mitigated negative declaration based on environmental assessment case number EA 23-0009 was prepared. Mitigation measures were recommended for biological resources, cultural and tribal cultural resources, and geology and soils. A notice of intent to adopt a mitigated negative declaration was distributed for a 30-day comment period, which began on April 12th and ended on May 11th. 4 comments were received, and responses to these comments were incorporated into the environmental document. The applicant did meet with the adjacent community and made revisions to the landscape and site design following said meeting. Those changes are reflected in the project presented today. With that, staff recommends that the City Council take the action shown on the screen or as indicated in the staff report. And that concludes my presentation, and the applicant and I are here to answer any questions.
Thank you. Are there any public comments to request, please?
Yes, we have one speaker, Brad Anderson.
Hello again, Brad Anderson, City of Rancho Mirage. I'm not opposed to this project at all, believe it or not. I just had concerns concerning the agenda packet and information regarding this and the mosquito control and in that retaining areas of this project and other projects. The city went to extreme lengths to state that those need to be cleaned every now and then. I can't remember the wording used, and that's true for any development, and I don't think that's something that actually happens, and that's why we have issues with mosquitoes. So I'm thankful that you're taking the time to do that. Hopefully you can monitor it in the future. Thank you.
Thank you.
That was the only speaker card. Is there anyone else who would like to speak on agenda item number 11? Thank you. Please state your name.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, council members, and city staff. My name is Ali Torkeman. I reside at 7 Cassis Circle, just right behind the proposed facility. I'm not here, it may shock the applicant, but I'm not here to oppose the project. Actually, I think it's nice to have vacant land developed behind your house. It's just that when I bought the house, I checked with the city and it was zoned for office, and I was hoping that someday it would be developed as an office, 8 to 5, 9 to 5. But be as it may, I'm not opposed to the project. As a matter of fact, city of Rancho Mirage obviously is becoming, I would say, the healthcare magnet for the entire Coachella Valley, and this probably enhances the healthcare services in Coachella Valley. There is quite often, my other job at Eisenhower, we want to discharge patients from the hospital, and we can't find facilities to receive them. So this would be really quite helpful for the community. My comments as a resident and as a neighbor to this project is to make sure that the operators respect the neighbors around them with the ambulance traffic, how they're managed. Do they make noise? Do they turn off the sirens before they get on the property? The trash enclosure, I want to compliment the city staff and the applicant. They met with us and took our comments, and I'm pleased to see that they moved the generator enclosure closer to Bob Hope. The trash enclosure is still there, and I know architecturally it's probably difficult to move it, but I'm hoping that the trash enclosure on this project is better managed than the other ones along Bob Hope, the 2 medical office building and the skilled nursing facility down on Bob Hope. As you walk around, you see the trash is spilling over and the gates are open. So I'm just hoping that would not be the case with this facility. And of course, I'm glad the photometric is showing 0, I guess, candlelight at the property line. But again, that's one of our concerns, and we're hoping that it would not be such that it would pollute the night sky that we enjoy in our residences. So thank you very much. Those are my comments.
Thank you, Ali, for your comments.
I have no other speaker cards. Is there anyone else who would like to speak on this item? No additional speakers.
Thank you. We do have, whether they desire to say anything, we have the architect for the project here, and we have the team that is involved with the construction. If any of them would like to say anything, please come forward.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, City Council members, city staff. My name is Alan Warren, and I am part of the lead development team for this project. I would like to say several things, but first I'd like to thank our neighbor, our soon-to-be neighbor, and for his comments, because we want to be sensitive to all the neighbors in the community, and we've met with them. We've had both in-person and phone conversations with people in the community to try to address the concerns that they expressed to us. But I'd also like to say, as a former vice mayor for a city in California, I'd like to just say I know what it's like sitting where you are, and taking in the information. I also know what it's like to have a colleague that has challenges, medical challenges, and so I'd like to send best wishes to the mayor. Last I'd like to say is I'd like to thank your planning department and development staff, because they have been very helpful in helping us understand, navigate, and appreciate and respect the guidelines that you have here in Rancho Mirage. So with that, our architect is here, Mr. Greenwood, and if you have any more technical questions, I'm sure he'd be happy to answer them. Or if you have any questions for me, I can also give it my best.
Right. Thank you very much. Is there anyone else that, as far as the team is concerned, that would like to say anything at all? If not, I'll ask for council comments. Does anybody care to have a comment of any kind? Let me just say this. I think the project's extremely exciting, one that we know is certainly needed in our community, and we look forward to its successful conclusion. If there are no other council comments, I'll call for a motion.
I'd be happy to make a motion that the City Council, A, adopt resolution number 2024 next in order approving the mitigation monitoring and reporting program and mitigated negative declaration, SCH number 2024-040501, for the proposed project based on environmental assessment case number EA23-0009. B, adopt resolution number 2024 next in order approving conditional use permit CUP 230004 to establish the skilled nursing facility use on the project site. And finally, C, adopt resolution number 2024 next in order approving tentative parcel map case number TPM 23-0003 to subdivide the 5.61 acre project site into 2 parcels and preliminary development plan case number PDP 23-0004 for the development of the 46-bed skilled nursing facility.
I'm happy to second it.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote.
Motion carries 4-0.
Thank you. The next item is a zoning text amendment, case number ZTA 24-0002, which will be presented by our city attorney, Colin Kirkpatrick.
I'll go ahead and make that presentation, Mayor Pro Tem. You get me again. May I please have the presentation pulled up?
Yep.
Good afternoon, City Council members. Next for your consideration, we have zoning text amendment case number ZTA 24-0002, which we refer to as the omnibus ordinance, as it contains multiple amendments to our municipal code. The primary purpose of this ordinance is to introduce certain amendments to Title 5, Title 8, Title 10, Title 14, Title 15, Title 16, and Title 17 of the Rancho Mirage Municipal Code, as is further detailed in the proposed ordinance. As part of our regular municipal code maintenance, updates to various titles are occasionally required to correct errors, update standards, and ensure that the municipal code complies with new regulations. This is typically done on an annual basis. On screen, we have a complete list of all sections that are proposed to be amended. A few of the amendments include updating our zoning code to reflect new state laws, such as SB 9, requiring staff-level review of single-family homes, clarifying review authority for animal keeping, clarifying requirements for non-residential special events, and strengthening our ability to reduce vector and mosquito breeding sources. The staff report includes a comprehensive description of all the proposed changes. Staff is requesting an additional amendment to Chapter 15.14. The added chapter clarifies requirements for special events in non-residential zones within the city. Staff would like to propose a modification to Section 5.14.050 of the ordinance, as shown on the slide, to change the application submittal requirements from 30 to 20 working days before an event. With that, staff recommends that the City Council make the recommendations shown on screen or as listed in the staff report with the additional change to Chapter 15.14. That concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to address any questions.
Thank you. And have we received any public comments?
No, I did not receive any speaker cards for this item. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak? Thank you.
Good afternoon, City Council, City Manager, and City staff. My name is Jeremy Whitty. I'm the General Manager with Coachella Valley Mosquito and Vector Control District, and I'm here to give a couple of thanks today. But first, before I give the thanks, I want to remind the residents of Rancho Mirage and the city that this is mosquito virus season, and I think that you saw our press release about a week ago. We had a positive mosquito sample not too far down the road from here. And so we actively respond to those positive mosquito samples with additional traps in the neighborhoods looking for potentially infected mosquitoes, but also make applications to controlling mosquitoes that are breeding in that area. And so far we haven't had any further detections, but that doesn't mean that we shouldn't quit dumping and draining water, and also making sure that we're using insect repellent because those mosquitoes may have West Nile or other types of viruses. So our virus season tends to run from now through November, so it's always good to take precautions. But I did want to make comment on this new code that the city has or is potentially adopting, which revolves around vector control and irrigation runoff. And I want to commend your city manager. Someone on city council had the wisdom years ago to voluntold, I think, Isaiah to be on our board. And since then has fostered a great relationship between the city. And it's something, if that's the result of having a city manager on our board, I hope all the cities put their city managers on the board. But I appreciate Isaiah's support for the district. I'm sorry to hear about Mayor Downs. I didn't know that, so I hope a speedy recovery for Steve. And so I do want to thank Isaiah for offering his staff, and in particular on this piece, working with code enforcement. We've been working with Pamela Berkey, your city code compliance manager, which has been a great professional and very open with our district and working with staff. We had to retool a little bit this spring, but also to take on some new positions. So we're still coming back from that, but she's been working with our operations staff to address some long-standing issues and some developments here in Rancho Mirage, and also help us with addressing neglected pools, which is also still a problem in Rancho Mirage. So again, appreciate the support for that. But codes like this go a long way in preventing mosquito sources in our community. And what I like about this code in particular, it even addresses past issues and pushes people to start to reduce that irrigation runoff in their community and limiting that water sources that we spend a lot of time at our district controlling mosquitoes. And if we can get rid of that water that's running off properties, we can really limit the amount of standing water out there and limit the need for us to do a lot of work, because a lot of our work now is shifting to people's residences because this new mosquito, Aedes aegypti, which is the one that's biting you on your elbows and ankles, that's another problem that we have to deal with. But this ordinance will go a long way in helping the district and the community be healthier moving forward. And I thank you. All right.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak on this item? That was the last speaker.
Thank you very much. I will now ask for council comments. All right, I see no council comments. May I have a motion, please?
I'll make the motion, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. I move that we, the City Council, A, find that the adoption of the ordinance is not a project under CEQA pursuant to Title 14 California Code of Regulations, Section 15378, because it will not cause a direct or reasonably foreseeable indirect physical environmental change, but even assuming arguendo that the actions is a project under CEQA, it is exempt from CEQA pursuant to 15061B3, and that the amendments involve general policy and procedure making, and it can be seen with certainty that there is no possibility that the amendments will have a significant effect on the environment. B, find the amendments to the municipal code are consistent with the general plan and applicable specific plans upon consideration of all of its aspects, and that the proposed amendments further the objectives and policies of the general plan and do not obstruct their attainment. And C, introduce ordinance number next in order, first reading, adding Chapter 5.14, non-residential special event permits, deleting Section 10.32.070, sidewalk sales prohibitions and regulations, deleting Chapter 8.10, illegal dumping, and adding Section 14.60.245, illegal dumping, adding Section 14.60.550, wasteful landscape irrigation and vector control, to Chapter 14.60, public nuisances, amending Chapters 5.04, business licenses and fees generally, Section 5.04.290, enforcement, Chapter 8.12, garbage collection, Section 8.12170, 7 hauler requirements, self-hauler requirements, Chapter 6.60, animal nuisances, Section 6.60.010, animal nuisances defined. Chapter 10.40, stopping, standing, and parking regulations and restrictions. Sections 10.40.120, street vending permit required restrictions. Chapter 14.60, public nuisances. Sections 14.60.050, trees and shrubs, and 14.60.070, vehicle parking. Chapter 14.80, administrative citation and appeal procedures. Section 14.80.030, time period within which to correct or remedy violations. Chapter 15.27, historic preservation program. Chapter 16.12, tentative maps. Section 16.12.080, expiration. Chapter 17.08, residential districts. Section 17.08.012, allowable residential zone uses, permit requirements, and project review authority. And 17.08.020, residential districts, general development standards. Chapter 17.20, general property and use standards. Section 17.20.110, outdoor storage. Chapter 17.30, standards for specific land uses. Section 17.30.030, animal keeping. Chapter 17.34, introduction. Section 17.34.010, introduction of Division 4 permits and review. And Chapter 17.68, permit implementation, time limits and extensions. And Section 17.68.060, expiration of the Rancho Mirage Municipal Code.
Council member, does that include the amendment noted by staff?
Absolutely includes the amendment.
Hey, Colin, does he have to reread that?
I didn't catch one of the no, just kidding. I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote.
Colin wanted to keep his job.
Motion carries 4-0.
Michael, well done. You earned your keep today, without a doubt. The next will be handled by Jessica Pulliam, Deputy of Sustainability. I must confess that I'm a little personally disappointed, Jessica. I had the pleasure of meeting your daughter earlier. I thought that this particular item was going to be much more efficiently handled as a team, but I think you can handle it, and she is a cutie. Thank you. If you would now direct your attention to the resolution number 2024.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, Mayor Pro Tem and members of the City Council. Today, I'm here to discuss a resolution addressing approval of solid waste and recycling collection and disposal rates for the upcoming fiscal year. This is part of our annual routine. City Council reviews and sets the rates using specific rate setting parameters that are outlined within our contract with Burtech. Our current contract with Burtech was ratified by City Council on June 16th of 2022. It established the initial maximum rates based on a thorough assessment that we had conducted by a consultant that was hired by the city. These assessments included in-field evaluations, route audits, and meticulous review of Burtech's financial statements. Currently, the single-family home is paying $28.91 per month for twice-a-week walk-in trash service, organics collection and processing, as well as recycling, which is required by the state. This rate is a combination that we see here is a combination of collection, processing, and disposal fees. And it looks like there we go. So now we turn our attention to the proposed rate adjustment for the upcoming fiscal year. The proposed rate adjustment consists of three main components: the collection and processing fee, the disposal fee, and an annual reconciliation of the actual amount that Burtech paid for disposal. So the collection component allows for a consumer price index adjustment that is capped at 5%. This year, the CPI increased by 4.65%, which results in a 4.65% for this component of the collection and processing fee. The disposal fee is linked to Riverside County and what they charge for solid waste disposal. And this amount combined has increased from $68.20 per ton to $72.98 per ton. However, we did see a reduction in the volume of trash that was disposed of by our residents, thankfully, because they are using their new green organics containers. So we did see a reduction there on that portion of the disposal fee for the increased use of organics containers. Lastly, our residents do receive a credit for all their recyclables that they divert. They have continued to divert their recyclables. However, we did see a slight reduction in this amount compared to last year's rates because commodity pricing is lower. Taking into account the increase in collection and processing fees, the reduction in disposal fees, and a credit for the recycled materials, the total residential rate is moving from $28.91 per month to $29.80 per month. This represents a 3% increase for the standard level of residential service. For a comprehensive list of all residential and commercial rates, I encourage everyone to see Exhibit A attached to the resolution. This concludes my presentation, and I'm happy to address any questions. I also want to thank Frank Orlett, Vice President of Burtech, and his team for being here today as well, and they're here for any technical questions that council or anyone here in the audience may have. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any requests for public comment?
Yes, I received one speaker card from Brad Anderson.
Thank you again, Brad Anderson. I currently live in the city. I'm opposed to any increase, and even I think a lot of these increases are only pennies and or under $1 like this one, 3%. But it's very extremely hard for people to make to survive on what they have now. Everybody doesn't get a inflation kick every year like everybody else does. So I'm just opposed to this at this time. Being one of the only people, I think, during the contract stage to protest that contract and its provisions, and seeing adverse reactions because of that, meaning I couldn't get services from Burtech like I used to, without going directly through the city and then actually having to read the contract on the 2 occasions to insert the contract language to Burtech. It was disappointing. And that may be directly because I protested. I don't know, but it's a concern of mine anyway. And over the past year, I've had nothing but issues trying to sever that contract with them. And you noted about green waste. Green waste is reduced. I'm having other companies take green waste now because I can't get Burtech to take the quantities they used to. So services for me have went down. The amount of waste received by Burtech from me have been eliminated, really. But I'm just one person, so I guess I just want to oppose this as written for now. But again, it probably doesn't affect me, but it does other people. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
That was the only speaker card I received. Is there anyone else who would like to speak on this item? That was the only speaker.
Thank you. Are there any council comments regarding this item?
No.
Seeing none, may I have a motion, please?
I'd be happy to make a motion that the City Council adopt Resolution Number 2024 next in order, establishing solid waste and recycling collection and disposal rates for all classes of customers within the City of Rancho Mirage effective July 1st, 2024.
I'll second it.
Motion and a second, please vote.
Motion carries 4-0.
Thank you. The next item will also be handled by Jessica Pulliam, our Deputy of Sustainability, regarding the opioid abatement program for the use of funds, which is very nice from the standpoint of the city actually receiving funds that they have the use of. So if you would, Jessica, please.
Of course. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. The next item I will present is regarding the establishment of the Rancho Mirage opioid abatement program. The purpose of this today is to provide a guide for the use and distribution of the funds that have been received from the National Opioid Settlement, as well as any future settlements the city is a part of. In 2021 and 2023, Rancho Mirage opted to receive settlement funds directly rather than having those funds default to the County of Riverside for the settlement that was reached with several major pharmaceutical distributors and manufacturers to include CVS, Walgreens, Walmart, Janssen, Allergan, and Teva. There are additional settlements and potential settlements that are underway. Once settlements have been reached, they tend to have a longer payout term, typically 20 years, and the amount distributed is typically tied to a company's revenues, and thus there is uncertainty in the exact amount that will be received each year by the city. There's also strict guidelines and reporting that is required on all funding received, and staff has evaluated several different options and looked into how Rancho Mirage may best use these and utilize these funds to serve our residents. I'm now putting forth a program in which the funding would be directed to organizations already serving Rancho Mirage residents that have expertise in substance abuse disorders and treatment. To date, Rancho Mirage has received $157,600 from these settlements. It's important to note that the funds must be utilized within 5 years of receipt or they must be returned. It is proposed that these funds be allocated to nonprofits that are serving Rancho Mirage with annual awards based on funds that are available. Multi-year requests would be allowed under this program up to 5 years, but funding would be awarded 1 year at a time with the prioritization of high-impact activities. The funding process is pretty straightforward. Nonprofits would submit an annual funding proposal. Staff would review and recommend. The city attorney would check for compliance, and the council would review and approve selected projects. Upon approval, 50% of the funds would be released, and awardees must submit monthly activity and expenditure reports with the remaining funds released upon request. All funds must be used by the end of the fiscal year unless an extension is granted. City staff would continue to monitor compliance, handle reporting, and ensure that the program aligns with the settlement agreements. The program is funded entirely by the settlement funds that are received by the city, and therefore staff does recommend that City Council approve the Rancho Mirage Opioid Abatement Program and utilize the funds that have been received from these settlement agreements. And this concludes my presentation, and I'd be happy to take any questions.
Great, excellent. Are there any public requests?
I did not receive any speaker cards on this item. Is there anyone that would like to speak on agenda item number 14? There are no speakers.
Thank you. Are there any council comments? Seeing none, I'll call for a motion.
I'm happy to make the motion that the City Council consider approving the Rancho Mirage Opioid Abatement Program for use of funds received from the settlement agreement with Teva Pharmaceutical Industries Ltd., Allergan Finance LLC, and Allergan Limited, Walmart Inc., Walgreen Company, and CVS Health Corporation, and CVS Pharmacy Inc.
I'll second.
Motion and a second, please vote.
Motion carries 4-0.
Thank you. The next item will be handled by Ian Lastly, our Assistant Director of Public Works. Consider approving certificates of compliance. Ian, if you would, please.
Good afternoon, City Council. The County of Riverside administers the collection of taxes and assessments on behalf of the City of Rancho Mirage. The city will make adjustments to taxes and assessments within the city on an annual basis. The adjustments made by the city to taxes and assessments are submitted to the county for inclusion on the tax roll. The city submits a certificate of compliance to the county listing the districts and funds that the city maintains. The certificate of compliance serves as a mechanism to formally establish compliance with Proposition 218. City staff recommends the City Council authorizes the city manager or his designee to execute and submit to the county a certificate of compliance within Proposition 218. And that concludes my presentation.
Thank you.
I did not receive any speaker cards. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak on agenda item number 15? And there are no speakers.
Thank you. Are there any council comments regarding this item? If not, I'll ask for a motion.
I'll make the motion that the City Council authorize the city manager or his designee to execute the necessary certificates of compliance and/or other documents as may be required for each fixed charge district to be submitted for levying and collection on the fiscal year 2024-25 tax roll.
I second.
Motion and a second, please vote.
Motion carries 4-0.
I was just told the correct pronunciation is I, and I apologize. City manager had to get that in
That's okay.
in the interim. You know, like yourself, by the way, I have been called much worse names.
Mr. Wheel?
Yeah, exactly. The next item is the fiscal year 2024. Oh, I'm sorry, is the adopting resolution number. Ian, again, if you will, now that I have your name correct, handle this item as well.
All right. Okay, the item before you today is the Park Maintenance District Special Tax Levy for fiscal years 2024 and 2025. In 1998, Rancho Mirage residents approved a special park tax to fund maintenance of Rancho Mirage city parks. The park tax is levied equally to each residential dwelling unit within the city, regardless of value. Commercial, recreational, and undeveloped land is levied accordingly to an equivalent dwelling unit calculation as shown on page 1 of the resolution. The county levies the rolls and collects the park tax on behalf of the city. As approved by voters, the park tax can only be adjusted annually according to CPI. This year, the CPI adjustment is 3.0 and reflected in the attached resolution and assessment rates. The park tax would increase to $39 per equivalent dwelling unit. The staff is recommending that the City Council approve the attached resolution to adjust the 2024 and 2025 park tax based on the CPI increase. This concludes my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Ian. Are there any public comments?
I did not receive any speaker cards. Is there anyone who would like to speak on agenda item number 16? There are no speakers.
Thank you. Are there any council comments? If none, I'll ask for a motion, please.
I'm happy to make a motion that the City Council adopt Resolution Number 2024 next in order, ordering the levy and collection of the park maintenance special tax pursuant to Ordinance Number 685 for fiscal year 2024-2025, and B, direct the city clerk to file certified copies of the above resolution and accompanying exhibits, attachments, and reports with the appropriate agencies as required.
I'll second.
So motion and a second, please vote.
Motion carries 4-0.
Thank you. The next item is the fiscal year 2024 budget, and that's going to be handled by both Joseph Carpenter, Assistant Director of Administrative Services, and Kofi Adabam, Director of Administrative Services, if you would.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, and good afternoon, members of the City Council. Today's presentation will provide a summary of the fiscal year 2024-2025 general fund budget. Details on all the proposed changes to the tentatively approved budget for all funds can be found on pages 17-37 through 17-39 of the staff report. The City Council tentatively approved, subject to review, the fiscal year 24-25 budget on June 1st, 2023, currently outlined on green on your screen. At the direction of the City Manager, the Finance Division started an analysis of the amounts budgeted for the revenues and expenditures for all city funds. This analysis was then reviewed by the City Manager and his executive management team before being presented to the City Council at a special study session held on May 28th, 2024. Staff has not received any questions or comments on the proposed budget since that study session. As detailed in the staff report and its attachments, several revenue and expenditure adjustments are proposed, which will increase the operating surplus by $870,000 and increase the non-operating surplus by $583,000, thereby reducing total projected surplus spending by approximately $1.45 million. As proposed, the fiscal year 24-25 budget includes $34.9 million in operating revenues and $33.5 million in operating expenditures for a general fund operating surplus of approximately $1.3 million. The proposed budget also includes $660,000 in non-operating revenues and $6.1 million in non-operating or capital spending for non-operating spending of $5.4 million. When the budgeted operating surplus, and capital spending are combined, the general fund is estimated to experience total reserve spending of approximately $4.1 million. The next two slides in this presentation will provide a brief overview of the general fund operating revenues and expenditures. The general fund's 30-plus operating revenue sources have been grouped into the major categories shown on the pie chart displayed on your screen. Staff is proposing to increase general fund operating revenue approximately $543,000 or 1.58%. Comprising approximately $18 million of the $35 million general fund operating revenue budget, transient occupancy tax, also known as TOT or bed tax, and sales tax, shown in yellow and blue on this pie chart, make up approximately 52% of the general fund operating revenues. With more than 50% of general fund revenues coming from tourist-driven taxes, it is important to remember that the city is highly susceptible to changes in the economy, which is one of the reasons the city created the prudent reserve. Staff is proposing to decrease general fund operating expenditures approximately $327,000 or 1%. Approximately 44% or $14.9 million of the general fund operating budget is dedicated to public safety. Proposed increases to the budget, red arrows, or decreases, green arrows, for each functional area are currently displayed on your screen. I'd like to briefly cover a few of these. The decrease in community relations and tourism and marketing can be attributed to a reduction in programming at the Rancho Mirage Community Park and Amphitheater due to its anticipated closure for renovations. The increase in proposed expenditures for administrative services is the result of reallocated staff to the division, while the increase in land use can be primarily attributed to new expenditures for pre-approved accessory dwelling unit or ADU plans and the historic resource service update. Details on all the proposed operating adjustments can be found on pages 17-3 and 17-4 of the staff report. Staff currently estimates the city will end fiscal year 23-24 with approximately $63.5 million in spendable reserves. As discussed earlier in this presentation, it is estimated that the city's general fund will experience reserve spending of approximately $4.1 million in fiscal year 24-25, which will be funded primarily from the capital projects reserve, resulting in an estimated reserve balance of $59.4 million at the end of the fiscal year. This concludes my presentation. Thank you for your time and consideration this afternoon. Staff is available for any questions.
Thank you, Joseph. Excellent report. You and Kofi and staff have done an incredible job putting this together. It's not easy. Of course, we've had the pleasure of going through a study session on this previously. With that, I'll ask if there are any public requests for comments.
I did not receive any speaker cards on this item. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak? There are no speakers.
I'll ask for council comments.
I'd just like to commend our managers and our staff for the wonderful study session they provided for us. All 5 council members were there, and I'll just echo the sentiment. It was just very, very detailed, a very complex budget, very detailed, but also very clear. And we thank you for your hard work on this.
Any other council comments? Seeing none, I'll then ask for a motion, please.
I'd be happy to make the motion that the City Council of the City Rancho Mirage and the Board of Directors for the City of Rancho Mirage Housing Authority, Rancho Mirage Library and Observatory, and the City of Rancho Mirage Community Services District adopt the resolutions identified as resolutions A through G. And
Second.
Thank you.
There's a motion and a second. Please vote.
Motion carries 4-0.
Congratulations. The budget's accepted. I think you've done a great job again. The next item will be handled by Ryan Stendell, our Public Works Director, regarding Resolution 2024, objecting to any proposed Desert Healthcare District tenant lease. If you would, Ryan.
So, sorry, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, I'm going to go ahead and take this one for Ryan. So I'm not going to spend too much time talking about this resolution and kind of the background for it. If anyone's interested, they can go back to our last council meeting and watch the discussion that we had previously. But essentially, at the end of that discussion, the council wanted a resolution to be brought forward to them for consideration with the intent of sending this resolution to the Desert Healthcare District Board. So to quickly summarize, tenant is asking for a non-compete provision that is similar to the existing one, only expanded to the entire district boundaries. And in a nutshell, what that provision does is there's a very broad category of healthcare services where the healthcare district, a governmental entity, would have to go seek tenant's approval and whether to engage in that activity or potentially use taxpayer funds. And tenant has the ability on this very broadly defined healthcare services definition to withhold that approval in their sole and absolute discretion. So ultimately, we just, the concerns that I expressed and that the council's echoed in the last meeting was, it's really not appropriate to handcuff a government and taxpayer funds in that manner. And so this resolution was put together based off the council's direction and with the intent of sending it with a letter to the Desert Healthcare District Board, who's ultimately going to make the decision on whether to approve the lease or not. And then if they do approve the lease, then that would go before voters potentially in November. Obviously the current language is not available to the public as of yet, but we do know that tenant is asking for something similar, only expanded for the entire district. So with that, that's my presentation.
Thank you. Are there any comments at all?
Yes, the first speaker is Linda Evans.
Congratulations on passing the budget. Good afternoon, Honorable Mayor Pro Tem and council members. I'm Linda Evans, a resident of La Quinta, but today I am here in my capacity as Chief Strategy Officer for Desert Care Network and speaking on behalf of our administrative team. My comments today are in response to the discussion held at both the June 6th meeting and then today's agenda item regarding the non-compete provisions. We do object to the council taking action today on drafting a letter and or approving a resolution because of the proposed lease between the district and tenant. And our objection is based on several factors that I would like to clarify. First, the action is being considered on a document that does not yet exist. Tenant has proposed maintaining non-compete language similar to what already exists in the current lease, but the district's attorney is currently working on language based on the input received by the public as well as the district board. So any action would be premature until that language is complete for review. Second, as I mentioned, there is a non-compete clause, and it's not new. It's been part of the lease agreement between the district and tenant since 1997. It's also not unique. Other healthcare districts, such as Grossmont and Fallbrook, have similar covenants not to compete in their leases with their operators. You ask why? A non-compete provision serves to protect the public asset, in this case, Desert Regional Medical Center, which is owned by the healthcare district. The district has fiduciary duty to protect its interest in their own asset. Revenue from the new proposed lease from tenant would be nearly $20 million per year. These funds will allow the district to continue to fulfill its mission to serve the healthcare needs of the entire community, and funding a competing hospital to provide similar services would put that at risk. It just does not make sense for that asset. My third point of clarification is this. Even under the current language, when appropriate, the district can and has offered support to competing organizations. In fact, to date, the district has issued $959,860,000 in grant funding to Eisenhower Medical Center as part of the district's over $100 million in total grant funding throughout the community. Council comments were made at the June 6th meeting that questioned the future investment at JFK Memorial Hospital, and I'd like to address that as well. Tenant has included in the proposal the expansion of the emergency room and the admitting main entrance area at the approximate cost of $60 million. Tenet will fund that with no support from the district. Not a penny of that will come from the healthcare district, nor will it come from the taxpayers of the district. This also holds true for the seismic retrofit requirements needed at Desert Regional. Tenet will be funding those at a cost currently estimated to exceed $220 million. Again, no taxpayer money or district bonds will be required for this work. The proposal by Tenet is really not self-serving at all. Our network of hospitals serves the largest amount of uninsured and underinsured people in this valley, and we pride ourselves on providing care for all people in an equitable manner, regardless of their insurance or their income level. The current lease, again, between the district and Tenet began in 1997, and it saved that hospital from a financial crisis. At that time, Tenet prepaid a 30-year lease, allowing the district's outstanding bond debt to be paid off, and provided cash to the district, all of which totaled $163 million. Tenet has since operated a successful hospital and made important investments to the health care of our community, including establishing the area's only Level 1 trauma center, allowing, again, the district to turn its focus to the $100 million in grants it has provided to nonprofits throughout the community. This is an example of a successful private-public partnership that we would like to continue. Again, we strongly object to any action this council would take today to submit a letter or to pass a resolution on a provision that has yet to be drafted and presented to the district board and to the public for review. Thank you very much. Thank you for the extra time as well.
Absolutely. Thank you for your comments. From a personal standpoint, I'm glad to hear that work is still being done regarding drafting of that particular provision. And as we have said before, we're hoping that that drafting in its final version is less restrictive and essentially opens up the opportunity for everybody to participate. I realize it's still being drafted, but the first blush when we read it, we felt it was restrictive and therefore warranted some comment on behalf of this council. But thank you for being here and thank you for your comments. Are there any other public comments?
Yes, Brad Anderson.
Thank you again, Brad Anderson, currently live in the city of Rancho Mirage. I'm in favor of a letter being written by anybody. Again, not again, but I just want to emphasize that the Desert Healthcare District, I'm not a fan. I've been actively participating in that for a number of years of that organization. I'll just voice my opinion right now that that district serves no purpose in the valley any longer, and it needs to be dissolved. There's a healthcare district east of us that had similar issues, and I went ahead and went to a bond measure because they wanted money, and the taxpayers said no, and they just dissolved it because then they said they don't really have, they have Medicare issue, they have enough Medicare establishments in that area to take the load of that Desert Healthcare District, and I just want to, I guess, emphasize again, the Desert Healthcare District, I want to say, serves no purpose other than to redistribute taxpayers' funds to nonprofits throughout the region, and most of it goes to the East Valley, I would say. I can't say that for sure. But there's nothing wrong with proposing a letter emphasizing the non-compete clause and maybe other aspects of the Desert Healthcare District. I'm getting sidetracked here, I'm thinking here. The Desert Healthcare District had 5 public forums, and they still haven't had the language defined. Is that okay? How can you have a public forum when you don't really know what the contract language says? And I appreciate the last comments from the speaker. Not a conflict of interest, but it's really suspect being so involved in that district. I've seen her at several meetings. Same with Bloomberg. There's a lot of players in this, and I'm concerned because the taxpayers flipping the bill, and we have a District 1 representative that decided not to run for re-election. So I urge people that are interested in running for that board seat to do that because we do need representation for our area. And just to voice the concerns of the attorney and the language and writing it, that healthcare district is not unlike the city itself. It's very limited on the legal counsel that they retain, and I've had issues off the record with that legal counsel too. So I think they need to really emphasize or need to go into more detail if they're going to do that. Meaning bring on other legal terms to look at this contract language. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Are there any other public comment requests?
That was the last speaker card. Is there anyone else who would like to speak on agenda item number 18? That was the last speaker.
Thank you. I'll ask if there's anybody else here on the dais that would like to make comments.
I would like to add something just to some of the comments that were made. So we heard this before at the last healthcare district meeting about this statement about Eisenhower receiving, I'm going to round it to $1 million. It's a little less than that. So the CEO of Eisenhower submitted a letter to the healthcare district board and essentially said, look, what you guys are saying isn't accurate. Of this, 959,000, 725,000 went to the Desert Diabetes Club. They just happened to be housed on the Eisenhower campus. So that didn't go to Eisenhower. And then the remaining amounts were primarily $6,000 annual grants to the Lucy Kirchie Cancer Center that were actually gift cards and vouchers to reimburse cancer patients for their travel costs. So that didn't go to Eisenhower either. They were just gift cards that they were giving to cancer patients. So to say that they've given Eisenhower $959,000 is a misleading statement. And so the point of that letter to the healthcare district board was to clarify those comments. And also, we don't know what the future holds. And a future board might make a decision that's different today for the Desert Healthcare District, but let your elected representatives make that decision. I'm sure the Desert Healthcare District Board is smart enough to protect its own hospital. They don't need Tenet in a position to have to go ask Tenet for their pre-written approval, which Tenet can withhold in their sole and absolute discretion. So, our elected officials are smart enough to make their own decisions. They don't need a provision like this that handcuffs them in future decisions. And frankly, there may be a future board that says we actually do need another hospital here, somewhere in the Coachella Valley. Why would a hospital in Palm Springs prevent one from starting somewhere else in the valley where there isn't one? But let a future elected board make those decisions, not Tenet. Right? And again, nothing against Tenet. We're so happy they're here. They provide great service. Super thankful that they're investing in their facilities and that they want to take this hospital over. That's great. They're going to do the seismic retrofits, but they don't need to handcuff our government or taxpayer funds in this manner. I think those elected officials at the Desert Healthcare District are fully capable of making these decisions and not jeopardizing that hospital. And who knows, just like today, I'm sure there was a previous Desert Healthcare District board who thought the idea of selling the hospital to Tenet was crazy. And now this is exactly what they're considering doing with this new proposal. So, again, I appreciate that, there's still work going on. Obviously, in the previous meeting with the Desert Healthcare District Board, there were some board members that just said, hey, we need to really look at this, right? So I understand that there's probably a back and forth negotiation, but there's probably going to be a very limited time frame between when this document becomes public, when everybody can see it, and when the board's going to approve it. And so, kind of in my eyes, there's no harm in sending this to them now because they're smack dab in the middle of the negotiation. And hopefully it does shape a little bit more of what this future document looks like. Because frankly, this provision, as it's currently written, needs to go, especially considering that the Desert Healthcare District's, with this lease, selling it to Tenet. It's not going to be a public facility anymore. So at the end of the day, I think just having these discussions is helpful. And This isn't against profit. This isn't against tenant. I just don't feel like our government should have to go, or our elected officials or future elected officials should have to go to tenant for their, pre-written approval. I think that's why they're elected. I think that they can do that, and I think that they can make smart decisions on their own. And if I lived in La Quinta, I would vote for Mayor Evans, but I don't live in La Quinta.
I would just like to thank Linda Evans for coming today. And we appreciate all that you do, not only for the Desert Healthcare or for Tenant and Desert Healthcare District, but also as one of our colleagues as an elected official. It's always a pleasure to work with you.
Any other comments?
I would like to say that Mayor Evans knows that I greatly respect her and all the work that she does, not only on this, but in all areas across the valley. And I was pleased to hear that no official decision has been made, that it is in the preliminary stages. And my hope is that our letter will help influence those decisions. So thank you for coming today.
Yes, I would like to thank Mayor Evans for coming and making your presentation. It was very bold of you to do so and brave, and we appreciate it.
Well, I think that in listening to our colleagues, aside from thanking Mayor Evans, who I have known for a long, long time, we generally have agreed on 90% of the issues over the years, although we have clashed on others. But I give her consummate respect for being an outstanding public servant for her city. So thank you for being here. When I hear our city manager discussing this particular clause, I put myself in a position of saying, what if we on the city council had to get the approval of an outside entity, a private entity, before we could make certain decisions for the benefit of our city? I mean, here we've been elected to represent the city, and to some extent we would be, restricted based upon a clause. I know that none of us would take kindly to that would restrict basically exactly what we're here for, is to make decisions that are best for and on behalf of our constituents. So from a personal standpoint, I'm still uncomfortable about any sort of a non-compete. I hear Mayor Evans talking about that it's still in the drafting stages, and I certainly hope that the ultimate resolution and draft will mollify what we feel at the moment is quite restrictive. Are there any other comments from my colleagues? If not, I'll ask for a motion.
I'll make the motion that the City Council adopt Resolution 2024 next in order, formally objecting to any proposed Desert Healthcare District tenant lease non-compete provisions and directing the mayor to draft a letter to the Desert Healthcare District Board with the assistance of the city manager objecting to the proposed tenant lease non-compete provisions.
I'll second.
If there's a motion and a second, please vote.
Motion carries 4-0.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda will be handled by Ryan Stendell, our Director of Public Works. And that's a consideration of authorizing a reorganization and reduction of staffing.
We just really want to hear you talk today, Ryan. Go ahead, Kofi.
All right. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Good afternoon, Council. So city management, just like every business owner or venture, from time to time, evaluate operational methodologies across city departments to improve operational efficiencies and enhance the quality of the services that the city provides. So along those lines, management as detailed in the staff report, has evaluated some of the city's current operations and is implementing certain initiatives that result in the reorganization and elimination of 6 positions. The fiscal impact of this action is a net savings of approximately $500,000. If approved, the city's labor negotiator will work on the impacts of this action with the Rancho Mirage Employee Association, which is RMEA. That concludes my presentation, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Comments on this?
I did not receive any speaker cards. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak on this item?
Thank you again, Brad Anderson. This is unheard of. No, I'm kidding. This is a great step. I am somewhat concerned looking through the budget and all this for a number of years. I think it was a little shakeup where maybe an employee was let go or in the process. So maybe this is an aspect of that. But either way, it's beneficial for the city if the workloads retain or remain doable by the people you have. There's nothing wrong with that. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Is there anyone else in the audience who would like to speak? That was the only speaker.
Thank you. Are there any council comments? Let me say this, if I'm correct, Kofi, that the motivation here in looking and reading it is not purely financial, but is efficiency. That this is a more efficient way to handle the process, and that the technology now available makes that all the more worthwhile. So that really is what has been the motivation for pursuing this change.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Thank you. Are there any other comments? With that, I'll ask for a motion, please.
I'll make the motion. I move that the City Council authorize a reorganization and reduction of staffing as it relates to streamlining city services. The resulting reorganization would reduce staffing levels by 6 full-time equivalents in administrative services and 2 public works streets maintenance, and B, direct the city's labor negotiation to negotiate the impact of the city's decision with the Rancho Mirage Employees Association.
I'll second it.
So motion and second, please vote.
Motion carries 4-0.
Thank you. That completes our agenda. We're going to be recessing into closed session. I'll ask legal counsel to review items. We have a request here.
On the last thing.
Come on up, Cody.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Hello, council members. My name is Cody Terry. I am a Streets Department Maintenance Worker 2. I'm here today because I want to speak on the proposal given to you to terminate the Streets Department. The information you have been given before you is not accurate representation of what to do as a department. The task system is in place to delegate some of the work orders by management, but all tasks we complete are submitted in the system. Our workflow is as flows. Every day we run our sections of the city as we see tasks that need to be done. We complete them, we remove debris and hazards in the streets, help Sheriff's Department with accidents and hazards, take on resident complaints, change multiple traffic signs almost daily, fix roads, cut trees, and more, as well as took on Hurricane Hillary and cleaned up the mess faster than any surrounding cities with minimal staff, and as well as saving the city money with sand cleanup on Dinah Shore. We do projects as management approves and help out with many city events. We strive to maintain the city even before work orders need to be made. The work order system data in the proposal is misrepresentation of what the Streets Department does and has been doing for over 30-something years. And removal of the Streets Department in this beautiful city will show I love my job, and I hope you look at this proposal differently. Thank you. Jesus is King.
Thank you for your comments. Are there any other?
I think we have a speaker for closed session.
Yes, Brad Anderson.
Thank you again, Brad Emerson, City Rancho Mirage. I'll let you go quickly. I just wanted to speak on the closed session topics again for one potential case. Having very small insight of what's going on, I just asked the city to maybe consider a little added transparency in your closed session topics. Like I've spoken before at the beginning of the meeting concerning a $72,000 abatement issue with a warrant being issued from the county for the Rancho Mirage Country Club. Is this the case, or is it another case? I've been over the Palm Springs, Riverside County Courthouse 2 occasions, which was never mentioned in the agenda on litigation against city residents. So it's concerning when things happen and it's not broadcast to the city, and that's all I have. Thank you.
And Mayor Pro Tem, I'll summarize the closed session agenda. Today we'll be convening in a closed session for the item before you on the agenda, with the item being conference with legal counsel, potential initiation of litigation pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9D4 with one potential case.
Thank you. We are now recessed into closed session. We are back in session. I'll ask City Attorney for any reportable action.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. No reportable action today.
Thank you. The meeting is now adjourned.